Hi, welcome to episode 342 of The Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and that's where I sell my knitting patterns and hand-spun yarns. Hi, how are you? I hope that you are doing well. It is Monday, August 30th. I can hardly believe that August is already over. And school is starting, and fall is coming, and it's still really hot here. It's been in the 80s and 90s for the last couple weeks, and that is showing no signs of abating, so I am staying cool inside and dreaming of fall. So I hope that you are doing well, that you are healthy. Things are going reasonably well here. We're mostly sticking close to home because of the heat. And I have had a wonderfully crafty weekend with more finishes and thinking about picking up some whips and some new starts, and it has just been a remarkably crafty week, so I have lots to share with you. I don't have a lot to share with you in terms of other things. I am starting again with some of the fall knits and winter knits, and Zen Yarn Garden will be doing its tutorial Tuesdays starting September 7th, and I'll be helping out a little bit with those. So if you're interested in those, you can find those on their website or on their YouTube channel. And if you sign up for their mailing list, you can get an invite to those. So today I made some iced tea. I went through my stash and I found I have multiple stashes, tea, fiber, yarn, and I found this one, which is a Pu'er Vanilla Mint. And it is vanilla and cinnamon and refreshing peppermint, and then it's mixed with Pu'er tea is kind of earthy tasting. So this was from Tea Runners. It was from when I used to get the subscription box, and I actually finished the bag. I'm excited about that. And I made a picture of iced tea, which I thought would be really, really nice for vanilla, and mint sounded really good for a warm summer day. Ooh, yeah, that is delicious. I have had that one before, but it is just light and refreshing, still with a little shot of caffeine though, so I do enjoy that. So another bag used up out of stash, and another great week of iced tea. It's funny because I have supplies on the counter for evening tea, and I haven't touched those in weeks. I was drinking lots of tea in the evenings when it was chilly out, and I would make myself a warm cup of tea before bed, and of course I have all my organic and herbals out there, but during the day and for iced tea I prefer different things. So different times of the year. I am looking forward to getting back into my cup of tea before bed tradition, but it's still been 85 or 90 at bedtime, so not quite yet. So I had a really productive week, and I'm going to show you what I worked on. The first thing that you have seen me bring, not too many times, but is the second sock arm sweater, the one for my nephew, and I had hoped to finish that one this week, and I did. So the sock arm sweater is a pattern inspiration by Stephanie Lotvin of Telly Bean Knits, and I modified mine slightly by using the Flax Light Pullover by Tin Can Knits as my base pattern, and then making the arms. It's called sock arms because you use sock yarn for the arms, and you get pleasantly striped arms because arms are similar in circumference to socks. So what I have ended up with looks like this, and it is, I'm calling it the Sharknado Sweater. So let me hide some of my ends. They're all woven in. I'm just waiting to wash and block before I snip them. So this is the finished sweater. So Sharknado is the stripy sock yarn colorway by Nomadic Yarns on Etsy, and it's got the red and green and blue, and then it's got this gray that also has speckles of the other colors in it, and then the body I knit in Dreaming Color Smooshy in the Prince William colorway, which is just kind of a basic gray, and it's not quite as fun as the speckles. You can see there is a little bit of a difference there, but I think it makes for a fairly cohesive sweater. I knit the size 6 to 8. Miles will be 5 this fall, but I'm hoping that he'll get a few extra years out of it. So a really simple sweater. It was really fun. I used up like all of the Dreaming Color. in the body, and then I used up probably about half to 2/3 of the Sharknado. I still have this ball left. And I'm hoping, I need to weigh it today, but I am hoping that I have enough to, even if I supplement with some heels and toes, I'm hoping I have enough to make a matching pair of Sharknado socks, because I think that would be super fun for Miles. And then both kids' sweaters are done, which is great because their birthdays are in October, which I realize is still, their birthdays are at the end of the month, so I realize it's almost 2 full months away, but I'm always happy to be ahead, and I can start working on socks and slippers and hats and scarves and mittens. So again, this is my version of the sock arms. It is the Flax Light pattern by Tin Can Knits, based on the inspiration of little sock arms from Telly Bean Knits, Stephanie Lotvin, and then I used Nomadic Yarns and Dreaming Color Smushy, and I dropped a couple sizes. I believe it calls for this to be knit on 6s and 4s, and I did 4s and 2s. That is because both of my gauge and because I liked the fabric that I got better on those needles, and I'm excited for the kids to get their sweaters. So I just need to wash this one and then snip all the ends, and this was actually, it was super fun because I had so few ends to weave in. Like, Dreaming Color started at the top, finished at the bottom, and then 2 more ends a piece for each of the sleeves, and that's it. It was great. So that was a quick knit. I knit most of the body in about a week, week and a half. And then the sleeves, I knit 1 each night. We had a power failure on Friday, and it went out around 5 o'clock and it didn't come back on till 11. And so I knit an entire sleeve in one day, just in one evening, because I couldn't watch anything, I couldn't read anything, I couldn't do anything. And usually it takes me a little bit longer to knit sleeves because I am watching my Instagram, or reading something, or watching something, or posting on Twitter, or whatever. So, but I'm really, really pleased that the sweaters are done. So the next on my project list for this week is a shawl that I'm knitting as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden. It is called the Positive Vibrations Shawl, and it is by Marinja Knits, who is Marin Melikor. And I think I'm pronouncing that right. And I am using 3 colorways from Zen Yarn Garden. They are semi-solids. This is New Navy, and then I have Tangerine, which is a bright, fun orange, and then I have Scallions, which is a beautiful green. So these are the 3 colors together. Someone remarked a few weeks ago they look a little like Halloween, and they do. But I don't believe that's what we were really going for. And so I am knitting Positive Vibrations, which is a beautiful 3-color shawl. And it, the big draw of Marinja's knits is she uses short rows to create really, really interesting shapes. And I have done quite a bit since I last talked to you. I believe I left off somewhere around here in this section, and I have completed several more sections. So I am getting towards the end of the main body of the shawl, and then moving on to the edging. Again, this is a shawl that starts in at one point and works through with lots of different colors. Though this is color work, you're never working more than 1 color per row. Everything is done in short row strips. So you are carrying your colors and then just continuing to work these fun shapes. So I have, like I said, just a little bit more. I think I'm going to repeat these motifs 1 more time. So like this section right here. And then I will be moving on to the border, and there will be quite a bit less blue in the border, which is good because I'm starting to run out of that color. But it will be a nice sizable shawl. It's already almost my wingspan, and that's before blocking. It won't be super deep because I'm about to get to the terminal width of the shawl. Oops, hang on. I just knocked a couple stitches off. I knocked my ending stitches off the needle, and I would not like to do that, so let me pull those back on. And I knocked my stitch marker off. Wow, expert podcasting here. I was stretching it out just to see what the width was, and that was not such a good move. So this is the ultimate width of the shawl, and the border will stay this width. And as you can see, you can sort of see, it looks similar on the back. Obviously this is the wrong side, so you can see where my pickups are. The challenges of this shawl are that every row is written out and that you need to read the directions very carefully. They are meticulous. There are arrows and squiggly lines and diagrams to guide you through, but it is a concentration knit. It's not a difficult knit, it is a concentration knit. And then the only other thing is that you need to carry all your yarns behind your work, and you see that I am doing a middling job of that. I assume I probably should twist them every row, but I do not. I twist them every couple rows, and then particularly in sections where we've got several short rows, you can see I only picked it up once in there, so I do have yarn at the back, but if you carry it very loosely, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and that way you don't have to keep cutting and weaving in ends. So that is the progress. I'm very pleased with that. I don't know if I'll be done by next week. I can hope, and I would love to be, but I just don't know if I'll be there because the edging is divided into like 16 or 18 parts. And they are a lot shorter than these sections, obviously, but we'll just have to see. This is an as-I-go knit, and you know, like for instance, I was planning to get a bunch of work of this done on Friday night, but the problem is that I hadn't printed out the pattern, and it was on my computer, and I didn't want to run my laptop battery dead because I wasn't sure how long we'd be without power. So I couldn't work on this one on Saturday, or on Friday, which is why I did the sleeve instead. But that is what I'm doing, and I do love the way these shapes are coming together. This is just a really, really cool knit. It takes a lot of invention, and I'm sure it must have taken her a lot of time to figure out how to execute on all the different shapes she wanted to create. So that is Positive Vibrations, and again, I'm knitting that in Zen Yarn Garden Superfine, which is their Superfine fingering base, which is 400 yards a ball. The shawl can be knit in 2 or 3 colors. You can knit a slightly smaller version, and it also has been knit with color changing yarns, which is fun, like gradient yarns, like from Freya. Or I'm trying to think of other people who do gradient yarns. You certainly could use them as Bab's gradient set, something like that, so that one of your colors is solid and then one just keeps changing throughout. So yeah. So that is the other knit I've got in progress. So this remains my only knit on the needles at this point, and so I was faced with a decision of what I'm going to do this week. And while I would love to cast on something new for myself, I'm chomping at the bit. I do have a few knits that I have set aside for various reasons that I could stand to finish. And so I decided that I am going to make myself finish one more knit before I actually move ahead and cast on for myself. So the knit that I am going back to is this gorgeous sweater, and crap, I forgot to look up bad podcaster, I forgot to look up the title. I know that the sweater itself is a pattern by Quinn Reverendo. It was made to use the Manos del Uruguay bocados, which are little mini skeins, like little bites of Alegria Grande. And I knit this, I worked on this a few months ago when I had a lull between samples, and I got through the bottom of the body, so really all it needs is sleeves. And I decided that this week is my week to tackle sleeves, not because it's 90 degrees out, but because I do want a new finished sweater for the fall. This is actually going to be an incredibly warm sweater. I am using the Manos del Uruguay bocados here, and then the other fiber is Abundant Earth fiber. It is supposed to be a DK weight, but I'll be honest, it puffs up and knits a little bit closer to an Aran. It is a natural speckle, they called it Pepper. It is a 90% US Merino, 10% Tarhi, and it is just gorgeous. It is sheepy and lovely and squishy and super soft, and that is from Abundant Earth fiber. Let's see if I can get to their logo. Oh yeah, their logo's on this label here, right there. So, and it was a special batch that they did a while ago, and I would love to have this sweater to wear for the, it's probably the winter, because, actually I'm showing you the back, and I can only tell because the back is a little longer because it has some short rows, and I love love this sweater and I really, really, really want to be able to wear it. It is going to be super, super warm, so I'm probably not going to wear it until we get to the cooler days closer to winter. But it just needs sleeves, and man, I can crank those out this week. So that is my plan for this week, is to give this one sleeves, and then you will not see this one again. The fun part is they're just basic stockinette sleeves, but they will have a little bit of this detail at the edge, probably just in the pink. And so I am going to finish those up this week, and then I don't know what I'm going to do with the leftovers, but I was thinking I might have leftovers of this as well, and so I might make myself some mitts or something fun with some of the colors I have left over. I have little bits left over of all the colors. So that is the plan for this week, to execute on that so that I have more finished knits, and then I think I'm going to let myself cast on for something new. And the something new is, and I didn't have all the details last week, but what I wanted to do is show you, this is the Stay Soft Shawl by Vera Valmaki, and I don't know how well you can see it. It is basically a bunch of different triangles. It is knit in 3 colors. You knit with 1 color, then you stripe a little bit, go into the 2nd color, and then the 3rd color is the accent at the side. And I love Vera Valmaki's patterns because they are really simple and elegant, and garter stitch is just about my speed right now, because I already have a complicated knit that I need to spend my brain power on. And for my birthday this year, I went to the local yarn store and picked up 3 skeins from Less Traveled Yarn, and they are these 3 colors, and I just love them. And so my thought is, I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do yet. My thought is I could do the greens as the striping section and then do the gray as the accent. My other thought is that I might do these 2 together and then use the green as the accent on the edge. Because the light and the dark, I think, will balance each other out to a more medium tone, particularly in the striping section. And this green is so gorgeous. It's got so many different shades of green and teal and rust in it, and I just love it, and I think I want that as the accent color. So I think that's what I'm gonna do with these. So these need winding, and then, like I said, as soon as I finish the sleeves on my sweater, this is my plan to cast on for myself. I do have kids knits to do. The kids need socks and hats and mittens and scarves, so I'm going to be working on those in the next 2 months. And then I also know that I have a few more sample knits coming my way. I should be getting a box of sweater yarn this week, and that is what I will cast on when I'm done with Positive Vibrations. So lots and lots of knits for the fall. My hope is to maybe have one thing going for myself at a time, one thing going for the kids, and then whatever other samples that I need to have in progress. So that is the knitting. I'm just going to take a quick sip of tea, and then we'll get to the spinning. And I actually have a decent amount of spinning content for you today. So the first thing is that I finished a spin by Koomasee, that is Koomasee, on Etsy, and this was the berry patch spin that I showed you from a few weeks ago. I actually showed you the fiber quite a while ago, and then I didn't actually start spinning it right away. I think I showed you the fiber right at the end of Tour de Fleece, and then I didn't actually get to spinning it for a couple weeks. But this was a whole bunch of berry tones, and you might remember that I said last week I thought it was going to come out looking kind of semi-solid from a distance. And you can definitely see that there are pinks and purples and reds in there, but it is kind of a semi-solid as opposed to like a hugely variegated skein. I think things kind of blended quite well in there. So this one is going to need a wash. I believe this was either Polworth or BFL. I cannot remember. I think it might be Polworth. It spun up really nicely. It is 4.5 ounces. It is a little bit of an oversized skein, and I think I'm going to end up with about between 325 and 350 yards. It feels nice and sturdy, so it feels like it would make good socks, although I don't think it is superwash. So it just needs a bath and final measurements, and then it will be available in my Etsy shop, and I will be putting that up on Instagram, along with another spin that I don't think I ever put in my shop, but finished a while ago. So those should go up early this week, not today, because I'll need to wash this today, but in the next couple days. So then last week I talked about spinning another braid, and I pulled out a braid of Hello Yarn, and this one is... I'm a really bad podcaster. I did not bring the details. I think this one might be Polworth too. And this is in the Skep colorway. And the reason I pulled this out was because it had all these great fall colors. It's got golds and oranges and browns, and I see a hint of purple in those browns, and actually someone else last week said they saw it too, so I don't know whether it will show up in the finished spin, but I have spun my 2 bobbins of singles. I know they don't look very even. I'm hoping that I do know that the core is thicker on this one, so I'm hoping that they will come out fairly evenly, and so I will be 2-plying those perhaps even this evening, and so this might go into the shop later this week as I get this going, and these are just such gorgeous fall colors. I'm just loving them. So I went ahead and picked out a spin for the new week, and the bag is right over there, and I really should have looked at it. I think this one is a BFL silk, and I think it's called, it's something about the garden. And it is actually a spring colorway. It was from May 2020, and I don't think the monitor is doing it justice. It is pale mint greens and blues and purples, and then it's got this yellowy ochre swampy green, and this just looks like a spring garden to me, and I know that is not the right time of year right now, but it just appealed to me. These colors kind of, I was looking through fibers and wondering what I should spin this week, and this one totally appealed to me, so I'm gonna spin this one this coming week, and this will also go in the shop. So if this is, you know, it's funny because I ordered some yarn like this spring. I ordered yarn that has a lot of these colors in it this spring to make a spring top, which I never did, but I'm sure you'll see that in the future. But that is what I will be working on this coming week. So new additions to the shop, and more spins coming up. I'm kind of going through my fiber and taking stock at this point and spinning up the things that I don't think I'll use or want to keep for myself, and getting them up and into the shop. So I think that's about all I have for you this week. It was a productive week for me, and I'm happy about that. I feel, you know, my crafting mojo is going pretty well right now, and I'm excited for the fall and fall knits, and I'm starting to think about sweaters and, you know, all the wonderful things that I would love to knit, and going through my yarn bins and finding what's in there and thinking about projects. So I would love to see what you're up to. Leave me a message and let me know where I can check out what you're up to. I hope to see you on Instagram or Twitter, or a comment over on YouTube or on the blog. And I hope that you are well, you are happy, you are finding some wonderful crafting projects and getting excited for the coming season. I know some folks are going into spring, and many of us are going into fall in the Northern Hemisphere. But above all, I just hope that you are doing well. So I will say, until I see you next time, thank you for joining me today, and happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!